Hi, I'm Laura from Beepods, and you're joining me here in my kitchen this evening to see a tutorial on how to do crushed comb honey in your house. You only need household supplies, very easy to do, so we'll be taking you through the technique this evening. Welcome to my home. So you generally will have a bar, something like this from your hive. We pretty much always harvest in spring, so from spring into summer, my kitchen is almost continuously a crushed comb straining station, which is what we're doing today. We're going to be straining some crushed comb honey. So to start off with, you get a bar of honey from your bees. You're going to pull it out. They're very, very heavy, so often you'll end up having pieces break off when you're at hives throughout the year. You'll have pieces that you're going to be shaving off, and there's a couple different ways that you can gather those. You can either put them in, we just generally have Tupperware containers, some sort of plastic container that we gather them in and bring them back to our houses to crush later. Or if you think of it and have them stocked, you can just put a Ziploc bag or some kind of plastic zip-tied bag in your bag, and then when a piece breaks off, you can put it right in here. If you do not do that, and you just have honey in your kitchen on the bar, I'm going to take you through the full step of how we get it from this into that jar. So to start off with, you're going to very carefully, I know this is against all instinct because you're never supposed to do this with honey, but you're going to lay it down like that. And the first thing you're going to do is get the top bar off of the honey. So take a small knife, just a little paring knife, and kind of try to cut along that edge of the top bar where it angles in. It's the best way to go about it. So you're going to cut it most of the way that way, and then the rest of it, you'll actually just be able to break it off. It should have cut it enough. Yep, so perfect. So just kind of go like that and get it off of the top bar. Put that off to the side. We'll clean it up fully later. And then the next step is going to be to get this into a size where you can put it into the plastic bag. If you want, you can just break pieces off. I tend to just sort of cut roughly in half. Works pretty well usually. And then do a little flip over, and we'll put it inside the bag. Now, you don't want to put one, if you have a ton, it's really, really, really heavy, you may want to consider putting it into 2 bags. This one wasn't a full bar, and there is some just plain wax that I'll just pull off. You know, if you have a couple pieces, you can cut it off or just grab a piece and pull it off. And then the next step is to close it and make sure you're getting as much air as possible out of the bag. It just makes it a lot easier to do the crushing portion if there's less air in there. And as you're going along, you can remove more air if there ends up being a lot. Alright, so now that you have it in this bag is the very fun stress relieving part of the event, where you just sit here and you crush it. You smash it and you grab the bag and you squeeze it and you get all of the honey just really, really crushed. So you take it in your hands and do it, and again, you see all the air in there, just a little bit easier if there's less air in the bag for that, so we'll get some of that out. And this process, if I'm doing it, if there's a lot of bee bread or a lot of other really good elements, I could do this for 10, maybe 20 minutes. So you just want to kind of feel around, make sure you're getting all the pieces and smashing them. Pretty easy, pretty relaxing, kind of like kneading dough. And then once you have all of the pieces crushed, I would definitely strain it within about 24 hours. Once it's out of the comb and once it's free, it'll start to cream up pretty fast, which makes it a little bit more difficult to actually strain. So you're going to want to crush it and then put it in the strainer almost immediately. So it's been about 20 minutes. All of the comb is crushed. You can leave this for about 24 hours. When I would do that would be if there was a lot of bee bread in here, if I can see pellets of it, I'll make sure to really pulverize that so it really integrates into the comb and it just makes it incredibly floral. But otherwise, I like straining it immediately. So the technique for cutting up in this bag, you actually aren't going to use the Ziploc top part of it. What you're going to use is the corner. And so you kind of try to pull it a little bit to get the honey to start flowing down the other direction, and then you're going to move all the honey away. One of these little scraper guys are pretty useful as well. To kind of just move a little bit of it further away. And then I'll cut that entire corner off, and immediately once you cut it off, you're going to put it into the strainer in the bowl. So the strainer doesn't need to be a really fine mesh. It can be a little bit wider because you're going to have some particles that are coming through that are perfectly fine. You want to have those. You don't want it to be too cleanly strained. You want to get some of those enzymes and some of those really good pollen particles into the honey. And squeeze as much of the honey out of the bag as you can. And the bag itself, since we don't like having any waste, we're going to open up this bag and take it back out to our bees, and the bees will pick the rest of the honey out of the bag. So you want to have zero waste if you possibly can when crushing honey, because it takes one honeybee their entire lifetime to get 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. So as little waste as humanly possible. And so you can see when you lift this up, the honey's already starting to strain through, and it'll take about 24 hours. So it's been at least 24 hours, and you've had your honey in the strainer over the bowl, so the honey's had plenty of time to drain out. And now we're going to do the jarring portion. So supplies you'll need for this section, definitely some jars, and you're going to want to make sure that you have glass jars. It's very important. Really, any kind of glass jar that you've laying around, mason jars, anything you feel like using. We at Beepods use these. This is our standard jar, but don't feel like you have to buy any kind of special equipment. Just whatever glass jar you have laying around. Glass is very important though, because crushed comb honey especially is going to cream up really fast and crystallize a little bit. And so if you want that to return to liquid, you're going to want to have it in a glass jar to make sure that you can put it in warm water to bring it back to liquid. Glass. I like this size because I really love using a canning funnel to pour in. Honey can be a little messy, it can be a little unruly, so this is something that just keeps your station a little bit neater and kind of helps contain it a bit. Again, any size funnel would be great, but this fits really nicely in these jars, so that's what I use. So what I'm going to do is uncover it. Definitely use plastic wrap just to keep dust or anything out. And take this part off. Just put that just on a plate for right now. We'll take care of that in a minute. So a little bit of a technique involved in this. Obviously honey can be a little bit messy. I pour and I have usually a chopstick in my hand. It's very important equipment, these chopsticks. So I'll be pouring and then I'll pull it back and I'll quick wipe the edge to make sure that it kind of all stays contained as much as I can. And I'll pour as many jars as I can right at the same time with the same batch. And also if I have one batch that only goes up to here, the next time I crush the next bowl of it, I'll just put right on top. Kind of gives it a neat layered look sometimes. So just kind of start pouring it out. And you want to do this right away after you strain it. You don't want to let it sit too long because it will start to cream pretty fast. And it just takes a little bit more to get it going, where if you do it right away, it's nice and liquid and it just goes into the jar really, really cleanly. So you'll notice when we look at the jar after I'm done here that it does tend to have some wax sort of built up right along the edges on the sides. If some of that makes it into your honey jar, it's perfectly fine, actually very healthy for you. And those small particles you're not even going to notice when you're eating them. If you put them into your tea or put them on toast, you're not really even going to notice. I find the chopstick works really well as a spatula as well, so I'll use that as a spatula to just kind of get some of the extra honey out of the inside. So the next step, we don't like wasting anything. So we save all of the honey as much as we possibly can, and the wax is a part of that. We will render this wax. So I just have a bucket that I keep off to the side, and that I just gather all of the wax that we've been collecting over all the honey spinning, and I just kind of pour it into here, and I'll take this down when we do a big honey rendering, or excuse me, wax rendering, and we'll do it all at the same time with all of the other wax that we've gathered from the hives. And it's as simple as that.